He tells me that for years, when you were younger, you tried to get close to him and seek him out, and he pretended like you were never his.
I was garbage.
He says, I gave up the best thing in my life, and it was you. He says, and I'm not here to make the same mistake twice. This is really odd.
This could get weird.
Well, this family's like Meet The Frasers when I'm connected on the other side. I see, so I don't want to blow the, wait a minute. Are there people who are like related but not related? Like were there like adoptions in the family or things like that?
Yes. My biological father gave me up for adoption to another father.
That's what I'm seeing, okay.
Yeah.
And did your biological father pass?
Yes.
He's here.
Oh, super fun.
Because when I'm connecting, sorry, you're going to know that they'll start to give me bits and pieces. When I'm connecting, I kept hearing whispered in my ear, adoption.
Yeah.
And I kept hearing that who you were raised by wasn't your blood family, but they became your family.
He tried.
Okay. So know that one of the things is that I have to tell you that your dad is here. And first of all, this is a really tough reading to do. Because he tells me that from when you were younger, you felt like you were passed around from person to person to person.
I was.
And he says to me that, Matt, he says, the one thing that I have to let her know is that she has nothing to be ashamed about her life. In her life, he says that I'm the one that needs to be ashamed. Because you carry guilt and pain with you every single day. Because of the things that you had to see, because the ways that you had to be brought up, and all of these things. But your dad is here for one reason. He said to me, I'm here to apologize to my daughter. He tells me that for years, when you were younger, you tried to get close to him and seek him out, and he pretended like you were never his.
I was garbage.
He says to me,
I know it now.
well, listen,
I got it now, but this is
why,
huge. This is huge. Thank you, Matt.
Well, listen, it's not me, it's him. He says to me, that's why I'm here. He says to me, because Matt, he says, I gave up the best thing in my life, and it was you. He says, and I'm not here to make the same mistake twice. Your dad says to me that giving you up for adoption, he says, was something that I did selfishly. He says, and because of the fact that when he was here, he didn't want any responsibility. He tells me that he made a mess of his life here in this world. I keep seeing drinking when I'm connecting with him. He keeps showing me smoking when I'm connecting with him. He says, and Matt, I didn't give a shit about anybody when I was here. But he tells me that the hardest thing was that he hurt you in ways that were unthinkable. And your father wants to tell you that on the other side, he wants you to forgive him.
He's forgiven.
He says because
it's all forgiven.
You watched your dad leave this world, and you never got that closure. He's here right now because your father tells me that from when you were younger, after everything that you've seen, after everything that you witnessed, after everything that went on in your life, he tells me that you've always been so empathic. He tells me that you've been so super sensitive to other people because you know what it was like to get hurt. You know what it was like to not feel loved. And you know what it was like to be abandoned.
Wow, you're good.
Well, listen, I didn't get a TV show by being wrong.
I love you. Thank you.
But know that one of the things that your dad is saying to me, he says, Matt, he says, I'm here to make up with her. Because the hardest thing about his life was that when he went to the other side, your dad had to stand in your shoes. And when your dad got to the afterlife, he had to see the ways that he hurt you. He had to see the pain that he caused you. And he had to see all of the things that he did in his life that were not fair to you.
I wouldn't want to be him there.
Well, that's why he's here right now.
That's wonderful.
Because he tells me this. He says, for years, you had to find your own closure. You had to find your own peace. And for years, you had to wonder, did my dad know? Did he even know that I existed? Did he know that he hurt me? Did he know that I did all these things? Your dad is here for that reason. And you know what's so beautiful? Is your dad said to me, Matt, my daughter is the true version of love. He says, because you never turn your back on anybody. You're there to help out everybody that's around you. And your father shows me that in the afterlife, he says, I saw a version of my daughter. He says that I never got to see here in this world. So your dad just asked me to come over and hug you. For all of the things that you've been through within your life. He said to me that you've had such a hard time. And even within your life, he tells me it's been hard for you to find love. And he tells me it's been hard. Well, listen.
Anybody?
Honey, don't put yourself out there like that. It's not this type of show.
I'll take it.
Know that what your dad tells me is this. He says, one of the things that he wants you to know is, he talks about relationships with you. When your dad is telling me that it's been very hard for you to give up a piece of your heart.
A little bit.
He tells me this. He says, Matt, you need to let her know that it's okay for her to open her heart up. He says, a piece of her is closed because of me. He says, but it's not too late. He says, you can find love in your life. He says, but you just have to be open and know that the person that's going to come in is going to love you for who you are. So even though I wasn't able to give that to you here in this world, he shows me you with the ring being on your finger. Now, that does not mean that you're getting married. You're the judge of that. But I do see you being in a committed relationship, and I see a ring being put on you. So when I see that, that's the soul's way of showing me that you're meant to be in a long-term relationship. You're meant to find your one and only, that you have not found that person yet.
I didn't expect him to come through. And just like Matt called out on stage earlier in the evening, it's the ones that might hurt you the most that come through looking for a new layer of forgiveness. Matt honored that between the three of us. That was pretty beautiful. I hate to think that we can have a more honest conversation with people when they're dead, but that's what I got today. Was the most honest version of my dad that he couldn't show me in real life. It answered a lot of questions that this soul needed to know in order to open my heart fully into what's available as a relationship.